Audio Jungle.
So hi everyone, welcome back. In the first part of the anatomy of heart, we discussed the general topography as well as the general anatomy of heart and the general structures of the heart. And now we'll be discussing the layers of the heart as well as coverings which are covering the heart, right? So the layers as well as the coverings of the heart. Now, first of all, starting with the layers of the heart, a very brief introduction of the heart. This is your right atrium, this is your left atrium, this is your right ventricle, left ventricle, and the wall of the left ventricle is thick. The myocardium is highly developed in the left ventricle because, as I told you, left ventricle has to pump the blood with great pressure so that the blood is transported to distal parts of your body. Whereas coming to your the wall of the left ventricle, it has to pump the blood to very near organ, that is the lungs. So it does not need much specialization or much development of the muscle because the pressure which you need here is very less. There is no need of lot of pressure to pump the blood to the lungs because lungs are just present backside to your heart, right? Now, coming to the layers of the heart is made up of mainly three layers: the outermost layer, the middle layer, as well as the inner layer, right? So if I take a section of this part, if I take a section of this part and if I represent it here, we'll start with the outermost layer of the heart, right? The outermost layer of the heart, outer or uppermost or outermost, you call it as epi, right? And the subject is related to the heart, you call it as cardium. So total it is epicardium. So this is your outermost layer of the heart. So this outermost layer of the heart, you name it as epicardium. And coming to the histology of this, epicardium is made up of thin, very thin connective tissue. This is your epicardium, right? And just below the epicardium, you find the larger part called as myocardium. This is your myocardium. Myocardium is also called as the muzzle of the heart, right? Epicardium is very thin and myocardium is very thick. And when we move to the histology of this myocardium, right, when we take out the cell, I mean cardiomyocyte, the cells of the heart are called as cardiomyocyte. When you take out the cell, for suppose this is one myocardial cell, and the fibers of the myocardium, I mean when we take out the myocardiocyte, or when we look at the fibers of these myocardium, they are striated fibers, right, with a very few nuclei, and they are different that of skeletal fibers, because skeletal muscles are not smooth muscles, they are different type of muscles which are attached to skeleton, but this comes under smooth muscle or a different category called as cardiac muscle, right? So if you take out one cardiomyocyte, so this is one cardiomyocyte and this is your adjacent cardiomyocyte. The specialty in this is for suppose you name it as 1, this is 2. Cardiomyocyte number 1 and number 2, both of them are connected to each other by some gap junctions. So these are also called as communication gaps or gap junctions that are present between two cardiomyocytes, right? And moreover, this is a striated muscle. Cardiac muscle is a striated muscle, as well as skeletal muscle is also a striated muscle, but smooth muscle is non-striated muscle, right? Now, and one more thing, cardiac muscle also have intercalated discs, right, inner to this myocardium. And one more thing about the myocardium is some areas of myocardium are so specialized that these cells can generate action potential by itself without any external influence, right? So such group of cells or such group of myocardial cells at this location, I mean at the right of the atrium, they are named as sinoatrial node, and at this point in the junction you name it as atrioventricular node, right? They are group of myocardial cells which are specialized in generating action potentials by itself, right? The myocardium, I mean the myocardial muscle, the muscle tissue itself is specialized to perform such function. Now this is your epicardium, and epicardium is made up of very thin connective tissue, and below the epicardium you find the myocardium, the big chunk of the muscle, the major part of all the three layers, and the innermost layer is called as your endocardium. So this is your endocardium. And one important thing is about the endocardium is if there is any inflammation, right? If there is any inflammation to this endocardium, you call that inflammation as endocarditis. So this is your myocardium, and the innermost layer you call it as endocardium, right? That's so simple. The outermost layer is the epicardium. Heart is made up of three layers: outer epicardium, middle myocardium, that is a muscle, and innermost called as endocardium, right? Now we finished the layers of the muscles, right? Now we move on with the coverings of the muscles. The main thing that is covering the muscle is pericardium. So pericardium is not a layer of the muscle, but it is the covering of the muscle. So many of them confuse pericardium is same as myocardium, endocardium as well as epicardium, but it is not same. Covering all these layers, covering your entire heart, there is pericardium, right? So I'll draw the structure of heart very simple. It's your heart, right? And there is septum, and this is your coronary sulcus over here, right? Now, as I told you, layers are finished. Now coverings, right? There is only one covering around the heart, and that is named as pericardium. Peri in the sense surrounding the heart. Pericardium. Peri stands for surrounding. Surrounding what? Cardium, that is the heart. Pericardium. Pericardium is in turn divided into two parts, right? The outer part as well as the inner part. Pericardium is in turn divided into two parts. One is the outer part or the outer layer, and another one is the inner layer. The outer layer is thick, so you call it as fibrous part, right? The outer part is called as fibrous part, and the inner part is called as serous part. The outer part is fibrous part and inner part is called as serous part. So you can also call this fibrous part as fibrous pericardium and this inner part as serous pericardium, right? Pericardium comprises of two parts. One is the fibrous pericardium, another one is the serous pericardium. And in turn, this serous pericardium is again divided into two types. So let me highlight it. This is a fibrous and this is your serous. In turn, this serous pericardium is divided into two parts. One is your parietal. The outer is called as parietal. Everywhere the outer is called parietal, whereas the inner is called visceral. Parietal and inner is called as visceral. So you can call it as parietal serous pericardium, visceral serous pericardium. Now, brief review. Pericardium is the covering of the heart. It is mainly divided into two parts. The outermost covering is called as the fibrous pericardium, and below the fibrous pericardium you find the serous pericardium. And in turn, the serous pericardium, you have two parts again. The outermost part is called as parietal serous pericardium, and the innermost part is called as the visceral serous pericardium. So the same thing, we'll put it in the diagram now. That is the reason why pericardium is also called as fibroserous pericardium. Why you call it as fibroserous pericardium? No, sorry, not fibroserous pericardium, it is fibroserous sac. Pericardium is also called or fibroserous sac. The reason why you call it as fibroserous sac, because it has two parts, fibrous part and serous part. They entirely form a sac-like covering over the heart or surrounding the heart, right? Now, as I told you, the outermost layer is fibrous. So this is your outermost layer of the heart. Not outermost layer, outermost covering of the heart. This outermost covering of the heart is thick, or it looks like fibrous, because histologically it is made up of loose connective tissue as well as dense connective tissue. So entirely the appearance will be fibrous or dense like thing, right? So you call it as fibrous pericardium. So this is your fibrous pericardium. This is your outer part, fibrous pericardium. And below to the fibrous pericardium, as I told you, there is serous pericardium, right? And in turn, serous pericardium is divided into two parts, parietal as well as parietal serous pericardium, visceral serous pericardium. So I'll draw the parietal serous pericardium with the red. This is your parietal serous pericardium, and inner you have your visceral serous pericardium. Everywhere the visceral term stands for viscera, in the sense organ. If there is any layer that is surrounding the organ, you call it as visceral layer, right? Now, this black thing which is tough or thick, you call it as the fibrous layer, and below the fibrous layer, this red thing, you call it as red and blue, both of them together you call it as serous layer or serous pericardium. This is your fibrous pericardium. These two things constitute your serous pericardium, and in turn serous, you find the red thing called as outer or parietal serous pericardium, and the blue thing you call it as visceral serous pericardium. So you need to remember one thing is that the outer parietal serous pericardium is completely attached or appressed to the fibrous serous sac. So it is completely appressed or attached to the fibrous serous sac. Sorry, fibrous pericardium. So it is completely getting attached to the fibrous pericardium. And coming to the visceral pericardium, right, or visceral serous pericardium, it is completely appressed or attached to the heart. What is the outermost thing that is making the heart? Outermost layer of the heart. The outermost layer of the heart is epicardium, right? So this blue color thing or the visceral serous pericardium is attaching to the outermost layer of the heart, which we also call it as epicardium, right? So there is no clear demarcation. Sometimes we find a clear demarcation between the epicardium as well as the visceral serous pericardium, and sometimes we don't find any demarcation. So you call this visceral serous pericardium sometimes as epicardium itself, because it completely gets attached to that, or it completely is appressed to that, so that you cannot find any demarcation, right? So this serous pericardium is completely oppressed or completely attached to this outermost layer of your heart, that is your epicardium. So you can call this serous pericardium also as your epicardium. There is no wrong in telling that. Now, in between the red and the blue one, that is in between the parietal as well as visceral, this gap which is present is called as the pericardial cavity. Pericardial cavity is nothing but a potential space, right? Is a potential space which has pericardial fluid, and the importance of this potential space is it has pericardial fluid, and the importance of that pericardial fluid is it prevents the heart from shock or any physical stress, right? Physical stress or shock, and also it acts as a lubrication between these two layers, right? This dotted things which I am drawing is your pericardial fluid, representing your pericardial fluid in the pericardial cavity. Sometimes what exactly happens is, so first let me mention this all these names. So this outermost tough coat, you call it as fibrous pericardium, right? And beneath that fibrous pericardium, you have this red color thing which is completely oppressed to the fibrous pericardium. This is your parietal serous pericardium, right? And in beneath that you have your pericardial cavity, which contains pericardial cavity which has pericardial fluid, right? Pericardial cavity has pericardial fluid which is useful for lubrication, preventing the heart from shock. And this blue color thing, the innermost blue color thing, you call it as visceral serous pericardium, or the other name is also we also call it as simply epicardium, because as I told you, this layer is completely attached to that, so that sometimes there will be a demarcation, or sometimes there will be no demarcation between these two layers. We can't identify these two layers properly due to the absence of the demarcation or separating line. So you call this also as epicardium, right? And this is your pericardial fluid. Now, some clinical thing, a small clinical thing is that this is your pericardial fluid, pericardial cavity containing pericardial fluid. If the normal amount of fluid or the normal volume of fluid exceeds, right? If the volume of fluid exceeds the normal value, then that condition you call it as pericardial effusion, right? If pericardial fluid, the content of the volume of pericardial fluid exceeds the normal, that situation you call it as pericardial effusion. Pericardial effusion. What happens due to this pericardial effusion? There's a lot of fluid accumulated in the pericardial cavity, leading to pericardial effusion. Due to this lot of fluid, this fluid creates the pressure on the heart and completely compresses the heart. So this condition of compression of heart due to excessive fluid in the pericardial cavity is called as cardiac tamponade. So pericardial effusion leads to cardiac tamponade. What is cardiac tamponade? Cardiac tamponade is the compression of the heart due to the pressure. How the heart is compressed? Due to the development of pressure. Who is developing the pressure? The fluid in the pericardial cavity due to its excessive increase, right? So, write a brief review. Layers of the heart, there are generally 3 layers: epicardium, which is made up of very thin connective tissue, and middle myocardium, the major chunk of the muscle, right? Some areas of myocardium are so specialized, and they are also called as sinoatrial node, AV node, Purkinje fibers, and so and so. And the innermost layer is your endocardium, and if there is any inflammation of your endocardium, then you call it as endocarditis, right? Coming to the coverings of the heart is called as pericardium, or simply you call it as fibroserous sac, because it has fibrous part, outer and inner serous part. So this big tuft of muscle, big tuft of layer, thick layer, you call it as fibrous part. Beneath your fibrous part, you have the serous part, which is in turn divided into 2: outer parietal, this red thing, and this blue thing, inner visceral. Visceral is completely oppressed to the surface of the heart, so that sometimes there may not be any clear demarcation between the outermost layer of the heart as well as the innermost layer of the pericardium. Innermost layer of the pericardium is visceral pericardium. Outermost layer of the heart is epicardium. So there is no clear demarcation. Sometimes you call this visceral serous pericardium as epicardium, right? And the fluid between the parietal and the visceral layer is the cavity. Cavity between the parietal and the visceral is pericardial cavity, in which pericardial fluid is present. If there is any increase in amount of this pericardial fluid, that condition is called as pericardial effusion. If there is excessive fluid accumulation, it creates excessive pressure on the heart, making the heart to be compressed. So that thing you call it as, or that condition you call it as cardiac tamponade, right? This is the second part of the video, and in the next part we'll be discussing regarding the pulmonary as well as the systemic circulation. So this is Krishna signing off. Medico Tutorials. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.